I woke up to the smell of antiseptic and the weight of silence. 3 days since the crash. A shattered leg, broken ribs, a concussion, but that wasn't the worst injury. The worst came when I realized she hadn't been there. I had left the lawyer's office buzzing, $150 million richer. I'd driven too fast, grinning like a fool, rehearsing the look on her face when I told her. I'd planned champagne, a trip to Santorini, maybe even a second honeymoon. Instead, the truck hit me before I could even get home. 3 days, not a call, not a visit. My phone lay on the bedside table like a dead thing. When I finally called her, she picked up on the second ring. Her voice was sharp, impatient. "You're alive?" she said, like it was an inconvenience. I'm in the hospital," I managed. She laughed, short, humorless. "Look, I don't have time or money for a loser lying in bed. Figure your life out." Then the line went dead. I stared at the wall until the edges blurred. We'd been married 11 years. We'd shared winters huddled under one blanket, saved coins in a jar to buy our first home, whispered dreams into the dark. Apparently, none of it meant anything. 2 days later, I got my answer. She walked in wearing a dress I'd never seen, hand in hand with a man whose cologne announced him before he spoke. She smiled like a predator. "This," she said, "is my husband now." I blinked, tasting copper where I'd bitten my tongue. She leaned close. "We thought we'd stop by, see how the loser's doing." The man, tall, broad, expensive, turned his head toward me, his face drained to chalk. "Oh my God," he whispered. He is, but she cut him off with a hand on his chest. "Shh, he doesn't matter." Oh, I mattered, more than she'd ever know. I didn't rage, I didn't beg, I listened, watched, memorized. By the time they left, my plan had already begun. Step 1 was silence. No calls, no confrontation. I let her believe I was broken, useless. The hospital discharged me 2 weeks later. Step 2, surveillance. A private investigator shadowed them. In 2 months, I had a portfolio thick with photographs. Her laughing in his penthouse, signing receipts with my surname scratched out, kissing him in the same booth where she'd once kissed me. Step 3, the legal snare. I transferred the inheritance into a trust under my sole control, made a quiet purchase of their debts, and traced every asset she thought she owned. The house she'd taken, now under my name through a shell company. Her new husband's business, bought out from under him using his silent partner's greed. All the while, I healed. I walked without a cane by month 3. I kept the cast on a little longer in public, camouflage. The invitation was my masterpiece, a charity gala, black tie, her weakness. She couldn't resist showing off. They arrived dressed like royalty. I was already there, the picture of health, standing under the chandelier with a drink in my hand. Her eyes widened just enough for me to see the crack. "You look different," she said. "Better," I replied. "Freedom suits me." Her husband shifted, sweating under the lights. I smiled at him. "Congratulations on the buyout," I said softly. "I hear the new owner's ruthless." His throat bobbed. He knew. He knew exactly who had gutted him. I waited until dessert before the final move. The MC called me to the stage. I spoke about betrayal, about resilience, about justice. I watched her face pale as I thanked those who taught me the value of cutting rot from the tree. The auction began. Lot number 14, the deed to a luxury penthouse. Theirs, sold right there in front of them. She stood, hissing, "You can't." "I already did," I said. Her husband's phone buzzed. His expression collapsed. Bank accounts frozen, company gone, creditors circling. The room swelled with whispers. Cameras flashed. She followed me outside, heels clattering on marble. "You ruined me," she spat. "No," I said, stepping closer, until she had to tilt her chin up. "You did that the day you chose greed over loyalty." Her eyes were glassy, not from remorse, but from the realization there was no way back. The next morning, the papers had their story. Prominent couple loses everything in sudden financial collapse. They left the city quietly, their names now currency only in gossip. Me? I booked that trip to Santorini, alone. On the balcony, with the Aegean wind in my hair, I thought about the truck, the hospital, the words that had once gutted me. No time or money for a loser. I smiled into my glass. Turns out, I had both, and I'd never waste them on the wrong person again.